So would it be fair to say that when we're talking about closing, the closing happens before the close, we are going to be speaking a lot to that whole trust and rapport building of the sales process?
Yeah, and relationship, right?
Relationship, yeah.
And what goes into trust and relationship is, a little bit of like needs, right? So you have to find out what the customer actually needs. You need to be able to diagnose that, but you need to be willing to be real with them and connect with them. We talked in the first podcast, right, about sharing yourself, and a lot of people are uncomfortable sharing themselves, right? They think that building rapport means asking the customer, "Oh, what do you do for work? Oh, how many kids do you have?"
Hmm.
And it's like it's almost like an interview. I've seen clients before, and they're like building rapport, air quotes here, and it feels more like a grueling interview. It's like
It's
there's
like a voice replay, like push play. What do you do? How many kids you got? What's your dog's name?
hmm, yep. Oh, you went to that university. Oh, cool. Right. It's like, and there's this whole other element of like, you need to share about yourself, right? Because you have to know your stuff technically, you have to be able to deliver the goods. But at the end of the day, people are going to buy from someone they like and they trust. And a lot of trust comes from like how many people do you really trust that you don't like?
Mm.
I mean, it happens, right? But they kind of go hand in hand. There's that you trust me that I know what I'm talking about, and you also trust me because you like me and you know that our values are aligned.
Yeah.
So, if you think about sales as like a pyramid, kind of the old school, the pyramid that has the percentages of how much, food and this and that, you got to flip it upside down. And you got to think like the base, the big, thick part of the pyramid is really like 40% of it's relationship.
Hmm.
And then like another 30% of it is like true needs gathering. And it's not really until you get down, and 20%, as you're getting down the pyramid, 20% is like your actual technical knowledge. And closing is really only the last 10%. It's the point on the pyramid.
Sure.
And so many
Yeah.
people have it the other way around, right? They kind of skip over relationship. They get, maybe needs, and they focus way too much on their technical knowledge. And then they're just trying to close using these systems or these tricks or these tactics. So they're trying to kind of pull one over on the customer, or they feel like they can't be totally truthful with someone because they're trying to just get them to sign and get out the door. And that's not what top sales professionals do.
So, I mean, why don't we talk about some of the processes and things that we can do to improve those relationships, improve that trust, improve that rapport. Work. I mean, I can definitely offer some insight here into the value of like useful content marketing in the space of essentially having that take the role that plays in converting clients before they've even spoken to you. But I'd love to hear some of the processes that some of the guys can go in action in the space of you know building that trust, building that rapport, things they can do beyond content creation.
Mm-hmm. So I think the simplest thing that a lot of sales professionals miss on is just take more time at the beginning of the sale. So when I'm talking about take more time, let's talk about like a qualification call or a scheduling call, right? The vast majority of contractors or schedulers, they'll call you up and they'll say, "Hey, is this Matt? Hey, yeah, this is Chris with Chris's Flooring. Got your request for an estimate. We can be out there Friday at 3. Does that work? Cool. See you then. Bye." I mean, I've made that call, right? I made that call too many times. But did you build any relationship? Did you talk to them about your process? Did you start to demonstrate professional knowledge? Did you ask them about their concerns, right? There's all these, it's just time. It takes time to build relationship. You can't just be like, "Hey, Matt, good to see you. We're best friends," right? I mean, maybe if you're at the pub, but when you're like trying to close a deal, whether it's commercial, residential, whatever, it takes time. You have to ask them, what matters to you? What's important on this project, right? Why are you doing this?
So,
What's your long-term plan for this property? And how does this project fit into that long-term plan?
mm,
These are things you can ask on the phone. But at the very least, you need to ask at the beginning of the sales appointment.
Sure.
Like we're talking about, like once you're there face to face, you're talking to someone. So many people. I know so many listeners right now are thinking about this and maybe going, "Ooh, yeah." They just show up, they look around, they're like, "Great, I'll email you a bid," or "Okay, sounds good. This is what you need." Boom, 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 boom. And we're not taking the time to actually connect with the customer. We don't know anything about them on a personal level. We don't know anything about their like real concerns, right? Like we're just focused, or this is the thing that really scares me. People that are really tied to highly scripted sales processes, right? I'm sure you've run into this where it's like, okay, these are the 3 questions you ask, and you have to ask this one first, and then you ask this one second, and then you ask this one third, and then you do this. And it's so robotic, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're the customer and someone comes and does that to you, do you feel like you're having a real connection, or do you feel like you're just another check mark?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like, so one thing that I learned, and maybe this is a segue, maybe it's not, like early in the piece was, and I know I touched on this in the last episode where, and you guys out there that are watching this, there is absolutely no question that it's relevant to you. People come to you with what they think is their actual problem when it is very often not the case. And if you don't ask the right questions, then you will inevitably end up giving them the wrong solution. Perhaps not
Inevitably.
the wrong solution in relation to what they asked for, but the wrong solution into what they actually need. Now, to put some context around that, so and I'll make this relevant to us because we get this all the time, and we've since got a really good process around defining it. But back in the day, people would come to us and say, "Oh, we need a website." I go, "Okay, cool, no worries, we'll build your website." So build the website. Cool, here's website done. Great. Then you get a phone call a week later, or 2 weeks later, or a month later. Hey, we've had no leads from the website. I'd be like, okay, well, what marketing are you doing? What do you mean marketing? Doesn't the website generate leads? You go, right. So people are coming to us thinking that the website is going to be the problem to their solution, when in reality, what they needed was marketing to drive traffic to their websites, right? Yep. So we learned early in the piece that we needed to ask way more questions. And so now when people come to us, when we get them to fill a form in, and in that form, we really get to the bottom of what they want. Like, what does a win look like? What does success look like? What are the actual outcomes here that you're wanting to achieve? What are the, what is important to you? Do you want to show up more in search engines? Do you want a better way to nurture your customers? Do you blah, 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 whatever it might be, things they may not have considered. So for you guys out there, if you're not doing something like that, how could you possibly know the full extent of what they're wanting, to achieve by speaking with you? And keep in mind as well, in a lot of cases, that conversation and that, those questions that you're asking them may need you to form referral partnerships. Like if they're coming to you and they're saying, we want to renovate our home because, it's going to be the first part of, next year we want to put an extension on, but we want to get the kitchen done first. And you might do kitchens, but you might not do extensions. Okay, cool. Well, we can do the kitchen, no problem. And we can also refer you to our partners that do extensions. Like you've got to take the blinkers off, and you've got to think, well, how can we better, I suppose, provide like a better customer experience for this individual, which is based on what they're actually looking for from their actual goals, their actual needs. What does that look like? And so often we do, like you said, Chris, sure, I could be there on Monday, 3:00. How's that sound? Great. You got there. Sure, they need the floor done, but what you don't know is, okay, they want the floor done because they want to maybe sell their house, or maybe they want to, it's the first stage of a renovation process, which you might also be able to do. So asking the questions, and I don't know if we've gone on a tangent here, but I know this is something that's super relevant to probably 95% of business owners. They just don't ask enough questions.